Hey mathematicians, today we're going to look at rounding decimals. So I gave you a decimal place value chart here just so that you can see the rounding. And like whole numbers, when we're rounding decimals, we're really doing the same process. So you can ignore the decimal point. Just make sure that you always put that decimal point back in any numbers that you round. So let's look at the number 6 and 25 hundredths. If we wanted to round 6 and 25 hundredths to the nearest tenths place, I'm going to circle that. We're going to be looking at the actual tenths place, going next door to the hundredths to decide what we're going to do with the 2. So if you look at this 5 here, and remember the saying is on Rounding Mountain, is 5 and above, give it a shove, 4, keep it low. 4 and below, keep it low. So are we going to shove this 2 tenths to 3 tenths, or are we going to keep it low to 2 tenths? It's a 5, so 5 and above, we give it a shove to 3. So the new number rounded would be 6 and 3 tenths. Remember, we drop that 5. Some of the ones you're going to be working on in this topic are going to be to the thousandths place, like 7 and 321 thousandths, and they might ask you to round to the hundredths place. It's the same process. So we look next door to the thousandths place is a 1. That's 4 and below, so we're going to keep this down low to a 2 and not give it a shove to a 3. So rounded to the thousandths place would be 7 and 32 hundredths. Sorry, not rounded to the thousandths place, the hundredths place. 7 and 32 hundredths. So it's the same process for rounding all the numbers that you've been doing for quite some time now, just with a decimal point. And when I look at what you need to do, they give you the place value in which you need to do the rounding. They typically underline them on page 37 in your independent practice, or they'll tell you to do it to the nearest whole number. If they do it to the nearest whole number, say they give you a number like 35 and 431 thousandths. 35 and 431 thousandths, and they say rounded to the nearest whole number. You're really just looking at anything to the left of that decimal point. So we'll look at rounding this 5, using this 4 as my guide. That 4 is 4 and below, so keep it low to 5. Don't shove it up to 6. Make it 36, so it would be 35. If you think about this decimal 35 and 431 thousandths, it is getting closer to 35 than it would be to 34. We would be looking at, I lied, it would be closer to 35 than 36. If this would be 35 and 5 tenths, which is the halfway marker, 35 and 431 thousandths would most likely be somewhere around here. So that's why it shoves down to 35.